Farmal Super M, 1952 to 1954. Produced from 1952 to 1954, not only was it a powerful tractor, but it also symbolized a time when rural America was changing. At that time, across the Midwest, from Illinois to Missouri, cornfields stretched to the horizon, and the bright red Farmal was a brilliant highlight in the sky and earth. The Farmal Super M was manufactured by International Harvester at its Rock Island, Illinois plant, a place that was once bustling like a mechanical beehive, churning out reliable red machines day and night. In less than 3 years, nearly 50,000 Super MS rolled off the assembly line, becoming familiar companions to tens of thousands of farmers. When it first launched, the selling price was around $2,600, a serious investment, but with the power it brought, many people didn't hesitate. Today, a good Super M can fetch anywhere from $4,000 to $9,000, depending on its originality and condition. The Super M came at a time when American farmers needed a powerful yet easy-to-handle machine for their expanding post-war fields. It was especially popular in the Midwest and the Southern Plains, where the land was vast and the machines had to work for hours on end. It stood out for its deep plowing, strong pulling power, reliable running, and especially its bright red design that was easily recognizable from a distance. My old neighbor in Iowa, Hank, once said that his Super M plowed for 28 seasons without ever breaking down. "I still get back pain from it," he said with a laugh. The inline-4 engine produced about 44 horsepower at the PTO, power enough to pull a 3-blade plow or a large baler. The engine runs smoothly and is easy to start if well maintained. The transmission has 5 forward and 1 reverse gears, making it easy to operate and shift smoothly even for the elderly. The PTO is located at the rear, operates independently, and can easily be connected to a variety of equipment, from lawn mowers, manure spreaders to harvesters. The dry weight is about 6,000 pounds, the rear wheels are large, the tires are deep, and the grip is excellent on wet clay or sand. Spare parts are still quite easy to find, thanks to the large Farmal fan community. Some local stores even still sell throttles, air filters, and piston rings for the Super M. If you own a 50-acre farm, the Farmal Super M is a reliable companion. It can handle most of the main jobs without the need for an additional engine. The elderly can still control it, the power steering is light, the pedals are wide, and it doesn't require much effort. When buying a used machine, check. Is the PTO loose? Is the engine easy to start cold? Is the clutch still working smoothly? Today, many people still use the Farmal Super M for light tillage, pulling trailers, or simply keeping it as a family heirloom. I remember him sitting in the driver's seat, wearing a faded cloth hat, his eyes squinting in the sun, but his grip on the wheel was still steady. When he passed away, the machine was still parked in the barn, some rust, some fading, but just turned the key and it started like the first day. If you have also driven a Farmal Super M, or have any memories of it, please share below. John Deere Model 60, 1952 to 1956. Manufactured from 1952 to 1956, a period when America was recovering from the war, in this video, we will learn about the John Deere Model 60 tractor, an indispensable icon in the history of American agriculture. In the Midwest, where I grew up, people didn't need many words to evaluate a machine. They just looked to see if it could do the job. And the Model 60 proved that for more than half a century. The John Deere Model 60 was assembled in Waterloo, Iowa, also the heart of many legendary machines. The retail price when it was first released was about $2,500, a small number compared to the income of farmers at that time, but completely worth it. Nearly 60,000 were sold in just 4 years. Today, if the machine is still running well, its value ranges from $3,000 to $7,000, depending on its originality and preservation. The Model 60 was most popular in the Midwest and the Plains, where the land was wide and the crops were endless. Its biggest advantages were its stability, durability, and ease of use. No fuss, no complications, just gas, oil, and a caring owner, and it would work tirelessly. I remember my grandfather had one. That winter, there was a heavy snowfall, and the car wouldn't start. Yet the John Deere 60 started with just a few crank strokes. My grandfather used it to pull a cart all the way to town. The whole village looked on and nodded. The engine was 2 cylinders in line, with about 45 horsepower at the PTO shaft. The machine was strong, smooth, and easy to start even in cold weather. 6-speed forward, 1-speed reverse transmission, enough for all types of work, from deep plowing, pulling a mower, to moving lightly around the yard. Independent PTO, very convenient for using a straw baler, lawn mower, or grinder. Weighing in at around 5,800 pounds, the large rear wheels provide excellent traction on soft soil or light mud. Regarding maintenance, spare parts are still quite popular thanks to the large community of vintage tractor enthusiasts. With just a little basic knowledge and patience, you can keep the machine running for several more decades. With a 50-acre farm, the John Deere Model 60 is completely capable. It is not too big, not too small, just right for family farm work. Older people can still control it easily, because the steering wheel is light, the gear lever is clear, and there are no fuss. When buying a used machine, check the PTO shaft, the condition of the clutch, and especially the ability to start the engine. That is the heart of the whole machine. To this day, many groups still organize meetings to display and share experiences about the John Deere 60. Some people still use it to cut the grass around the house, or simply listen to the familiar sound every Sunday morning. The John Deere 60 may not be new, but in the hearts of those who have held its steering wheel, it is always a reliable friend. It accompanied my father from his youth until his hair turned gray, and now it is in my warehouse, as an irreplaceable memory. If you have any memories of the John Deere Model 60, or any vintage tractor, please share with me. I am always listening. Oliver Super 77, 1954 to 1958. Every time the Oliver Super 77 next door passed by, it left a light smell of gasoline in the wind and deep tire tracks in the rich black soil. Every morning, I lay in the small room, listening to the distant sound of the engine, deep, steady, and familiar like the heartbeat of an American countryside. The Oliver Super 77, produced from 1954 to 1958, was not as flashy as the Farmall, nor as popular as the John Deere, but for those who drove it, it was an irreplaceable part of their memories. The machine was manufactured by the Oliver Corporation, at its factory in Charles City, Iowa, a typical farming town where tractors were not just tools but pride. The selling price at that time was about $2,700, a bit higher than its competitors, but thanks to that, the machine was taken care of more carefully. Production was estimated at 30,000, not a lot, but enough to make its mark on the Midwest. Today, a Super 77 in good working condition can fetch between $4,000 and $8,000, depending on its condition. The Super 77 is most popular in the northern Midwest and Great Lakes, where the land is wide, the roads are long, and farmers need a machine that is strong, reliable, and yet still driver-friendly. Its biggest advantages are its ability to pull hard, run long, and the engine can run on gasoline, diesel, or LPG, depending on the needs of each farm. My dad's old friend, Uncle Leo, used to pull a 100-foot hay wagon with a Super 77, all summer long, without a single breakdown. He still has it today, just to listen to the sound of the engine on weekends. 6-cylinder engine, depending on the version, can use gasoline, diesel, or LPG, for about 44 to 48 horsepower at PTO. The machine is strong, smooth, and runs smoothly, easy to start if the electrical system is still good. 6-speed forward transmission, 2 reverse, sturdy gear lever, easy to engage. Older people can still control it comfortably. Live-type PTO, independent operation, very useful when pulling a harvester, baler, or crusher. Weight about 5,500 pounds, large rear wheels, good grip even when pulling heavy loads or going on clay. Maintenance is not too complicated. Spare parts for the Super 77 are not as abundant as John Deere, but can still be found through groups or antique machine shops. For a 50-acre farm, the Super 77 is a very reasonable choice. It can plow, pull a baler, spread manure, or haul hay without the need for an additional machine. The elderly can still drive, because the seat is comfortable, the gear lever is close to the hand, and it does not require much physical strength. If you buy a used machine, you should check. Is the machine easy to start in cold weather? Is the PTO shaft working stably? Is the steering system loose? Today, there are still people using the Super 77 for small-scale farming, taking care of fruit gardens, or simply keeping it as a family souvenir. The Oliver Super 77 is not a machine that everyone knows, but for those who have been attached to it, it is the most trusted friend in the field. It has pulled the tractor through many seasons, has carried corn from the field to the yard, has witnessed the scene of fathers teaching their children to drive the machine in the golden afternoon. If you have ever owned a Super 77, or just sat behind its wheel once. Have you ever driven an Oliver Super 77? What was the first tractor you loved the most? Tell your story. The old machine sounds may have faded, but the memories will always remain in the hearts of honest farmers. Allis-Chalmers WD45, 1953 to 1957. On golden afternoons in the Wisconsin prairie, I remember my father sitting behind the orange-painted machine, his head in a wide-brimmed hat, his hands gripping the steering wheel. Each turn, each plow stroke was as rhythmic as the rhythm of life back home. That was the WD45. The Allis-Chalmers WD45, produced from 1953 to 1957, was one of the pioneers in bringing real power to the small farm. It was manufactured by the Allis-Chalmers Manufacturing Company, in West Allis, Wisconsin, one of the largest machinery centers in the Midwest at the time. The initial price was about $2,400, not cheap but worth it. In total, more than 90,000 were sold, a respectable number. Today, a good WD-45 can be purchased for $3,500 to $7,000, depending on condition. The WD-45 was the first American tractor to surpass the 40 horsepower mark on the PTO shaft, a huge step up from the previous WD series. It was popular in Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and across the Great Plains, where the soil needed to be plowed deeply and pulled heavily. It was powerful yet very driver-friendly, that was the selling point. The power director system, which allowed shifting between two gears without cutting the clutch, was very convenient for working in the fields. It was compact, easy to maintain, and could run on either gasoline or LPG depending on the version. Its distinctive Allis-Chalmers orange color made it stand out in any field. Uncle Ed next door has a WD-45 from 1955. Every plowing season, he pulls an 8-foot wide disc harrow, running all day without stopping. One year the machine broke down slightly in the middle of the season. He flipped the cover in the middle of the field, adjusted it for a few minutes, and continued working, typical of American farmers at that time. Four-cylinder, 226 cubic inch engine, producing about 40 to 43 horsepower at PTO. The engine is strong, easy to start, especially the LPG version starts faster and cleaner. For speed transmission, plus power director system helps change the high/low speed range without stopping the machine, very useful. Live PTO, suitable for pulling harvesters, balers, crushers. Weight is about 4,400 pounds, heavy enough to grip the ground well but still easy to pull uphill or down the field. Large rear wheels can be changed to 12.4 by 28 or 13.6 by 28 depending on needs. Easy maintenance. WD-45 spare parts are still quite abundant in the used machine market. For a farm of about 50 acres, the WD-45 can do almost everything: plow, harrow, baler, pull trailer. Older people can drive, especially if they still have the power steering, light and easy to control. When buying used, check. Does the power director operate smoothly? Does the PTO system make strange noises? Does the engine leak oil or water? Today, the WD-45 is still used on many small farms, or kept as family souvenirs. The WD45 is more than just a tractor. It has brought families through difficult years. It is associated with the seasons, with the laughter of children on the fenders, with the sunburned hands of fathers. The machine is still there, the paint has faded, but the sound is still solid, like a seasoned farmer, quiet but full of value. Have you ever driven an Allis-Chalmers WD45? What was the first tractor you loved? Tell me about it. You may find the sound of the old machine still lingers somewhere in your heart. Ford 8N, 1947 to 1952. As a child, whenever I heard the steady roar of the Ford 8N engine from the end of the yard, I knew a new day had begun. The wheels stamped on the ground, gray smoke drifted gently into the early morning sky. It was the sound of work, of diligence, and of a bygone era. The Ford 8N, produced from 1947 to 1952, is one of the most beloved tractors in the history of American agriculture. Not because it was big or powerful, but because it was affordable, just right, and so reliable. The Ford 8N was manufactured by the Ford Motor Company at its Highland Park, Michigan plant. From the day it was introduced, it impressed with its neat design, distinctive red-gray paint, and a series of revolutionary improvements for the time. The 1948 retail price was around $1,400, well below the price of larger machines of the time. Thanks to its affordability, over 500,000 8Ns were sold in just 5 years. Today, an 8N in good condition can fetch between $2,000 and $5,000, and is still sought after by vintage tractor enthusiasts. The Ford 8N was especially popular in the eastern and midwestern United States, where small family farms predominated. It was loved for its ease of use, ease of repair, ready availability of parts, and especially its new drivetrain and improved transmission, a direct PTO, and light steering. My father used to say, the Ford 8N doesn't do all the work for you, but it does make it easier. Every afternoon, he would drive it out to the fields, pull the mower, and then haul back a trailer full of hay. I sat in the back, my hands lightly holding onto the frame, my hair tangled by the wind. Four-cylinder engine, producing about 27 horsepower at the PTO shaft. The engine runs smoothly, is durable, and is easy to start if there is good electricity. For speed-forward transmission, one reverse, light, easy to engage even for the elderly. Direct PTO, suitable for operating mowers, grinders, and compost mixers. Weighing about 2,500 pounds, the rear wheels are high, and grip the ground well on dry fields or hard ground. Maintenance is simple, and most spare parts can still be found at farm machinery stores or antique car enthusiasts. With a 50-acre farm, the Ford 8N is still powerful enough to handle light and medium-duty work, from pulling trailers, mowing grass, to operating small tractors. The elderly can still drive it very well, the seat is low, the gear lever is close to the hand, and does not require much force. When buying a used machine, check. Is the engine leaking oil? Is the PTO running smoothly? Is the steering wheel too loose or loose? Today, thousands of Ford 8Ns are still used to take care of gardens, pastures, or kept as part of family memories. The Ford 8N is not the most powerful machine, nor is it the most modern. But it is the most loyal friend of small farmers, from our fathers' time to today. That machine has carried buckets of hay to the barn, plowed many rows of land in early spring, and is where children gather every afternoon to listen to Grandpa tell stories about the crops. If you have ever owned, sat behind the wheel, or simply looked up at a Ford 8N in someone's yard. Have you ever driven a Ford 8N? What was your favorite first tractor? Tell me, so that those machines live not only in our memories, but also in our stories.